The planet Virella floated quietly in a forgotten corner of the galaxy. Once, its blue oceans and silver forest had been full of laughter and song. The people of Virella, the Virellans, were gentle and creative beings. They painted their cities with lights and built towers that shimmered like crystal. They believed in peace, in harmony, and in learning. But those days had ended long ago. Now dark clouds filled the skies. Heavy ships of the Oran Dominion drifted above the planet, their metal hulls blocking the sun. The Dominion had come years ago, promising protection and unity. Instead, they took control of everything, the mines, the airways, and even the schools. The Virellans were forbidden to speak their old songs or build their glowing towers again. In the capital city of Yarvan, the streets were quiet. The sound of machines replaced the sound of music. Virellans worked under the eyes of Dominion guards, tall aliens with armor like stone and voices like thunder. Among them was Ellen Varro, a historian once known for her bright spirit. She spent her days sorting through ancient scrolls that the Dominion allowed to survive. Her hands trembled as she read the fading letters of her ancestors, words about freedom, friendship, and stars. One night, when the sky was darker than usual, Ellen climbed the steps to the old observatory on the city's edge. It was forbidden to go there, but she did not care. Her people were fading, and she could not stay silent any longer. Inside the observatory, dust covered the machines. Old telescopes pointed toward the heavens like blind eyes. Ellen wiped one clean and looked up. The stars blinked faintly like tiny candles in a storm. She whispered softly, "If there is anyone out there, please hear us. We are not strong. We just want to live." Then, from her cloak, she took a small device like the last working beacon transmitter on Virella. It was ancient, built by the first explorers who had come to the stars. Most Virellans thought it no longer worked, but Ellen had spent years repairing it in secret. Her fingers hovered over the glowing panel. She hesitated. The Dominion punished anyone who tried to contact outsiders, but she thought of the children who no longer smiled, of the schools that no longer taught music, and of the oceans that no longer shimmered. She pressed the button. A soft hum filled the room. The beacon sent a message into the darkness, a signal of hope. It carried her voice and her coordinates, repeating again and again into endless space. When the signal vanished into the stars, Ellen sat down, her eyes full of tears. She knew no one would come. After all, the galaxy believed humanity was gone. The legend of the lost species to the young Virellans. Humans were only a myth, a story told by grandparents on quiet nights. They spoke of a species that had burned bright across the galaxy long ago. Humans, they said, had built cities on fire and metal, crossed wormholes, and stood against empires much larger than themselves. They fought not for land but for ideals, in a courage, unity, and hope. But then one day they disappeared. Some said they destroyed themselves. Others said they had retreated to the edge of the universe, tired of endless wars. The Dominion taught that humans never existed at all, that they were just stories made to give weak species false hope. Ellen had always believed otherwise. She had found old fragments of data in the archives, a photograph of a blue planet, a name, Earth, and a voice recording in an unknown language. Even though she couldn't understand the words, the tone carried warmth and confidence. It gave her strength. As she looked at the stars, she whispered again, "Maybe somewhere. They still exist." And then she left the observatory, unaware that her message was already racing through the galaxy, through broken satellites, forgotten stations, and sleeping networks left behind by ages past. Far beyond Virella, in a lonely region beyond known space, a small station orbited a dying sun. It was silent for decades, powered by decaying reactors and old human technology. The nameplate on its side was half broken, but one word still shone clearly: Outpost Theta. Inside, a single drone floated between corridors, maintaining systems that no one used anymore. It had long stopped expecting orders. Then suddenly a light on its console blinked. A signal. It was weak, ancient, and full of static, but it carried words in a Virellan dialect. The drone followed its programming and relayed the message to the only known human command channel still active, United Nations Deep Space Command. For hours, the message traveled through old relays until it reached a large station near a nebula, a place called Haven Reach. There, in a command room filled with tired officers and glowing screens, a woman stood staring at the signal log. Her name was Captain Aria Holt, commander of the human vessel UNS Resolute. She read the decoded message 3 times. Then she turned to her communications officer and asked softly, "Who sent this?" "Unknown," he replied. "The transmission is over 100 light-years away. Origin point, planet Virella, controlled space under the Orand Dominion." Aria leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. "The Dominion still exists?" "Yes, Captain. Stronger than ever, but this message isn't military. It's a distress call." Aria looked at the message again. There were no demands, no strategies, only a plea for help spoken in a trembling voice that carried both fear and hope. Her heart tightened. Humans had once promised that they would never turn away from a cry for help. That was before the Great Silence, before Earth's colonies stopped communicating, before humanity turned inward to heal from its own losses. Now, after centuries of isolation, someone was calling for help again. And against all logic, Aria felt certain that they had been waiting for this, a choice among the stars. The officers in the room exchanged uneasy looks. Responding to the signal could mean conflict with the Dominion, a powerful empire that had ignored humanity for centuries. But Captain Holt didn't hesitate. "Plot a course," she said firmly. "Set coordinates for Virella." The room fell silent. One of the crew members whispered, "Captain, are we sure?" "The Council might not approve. The Dominion doesn't like intrusions." Aria smiled faintly. "The Council doesn't have to approve. We're explorers, not soldiers. If someone's asking for help, we answer." Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Rajan, nodded slowly. "It's been a long time since anyone called us heroes, Captain." Aria looked out at the stars through the window. "Then it's time we reminded them who we are." As the Resolute powered up, lights filled the hangar. Old systems came alive. The engines hummed with energy, and the ship's sleek silver body gleamed like lightning under a storm. The message from Virella played one last time over the speakers. The crew listened silently. The voice was soft, almost breaking. "If anyone can hear this, please help us. We are not strong. We only wish to live free again." Captain Holt closed her eyes. For a moment she imagined a world under dark skies, waiting for a miracle. She opened them again and spoke with quiet determination. "This is Captain Aria Holt of the UNS Resolute. We heard you." The first spark on Virella. Ellen stood at the observatory window days later, watching the empty sky. She thought her message was lost. The Dominion patrols had increased, searching for the source of a signal they had detected but could not trace. Her friend Taryn warned her to destroy the beacon before they found it, but she refused. "If I destroy it, then hope dies with it," she said. That night, as she gazed at the stars again, one point of light seemed to move, faster than anything she had ever seen. It was small, bright and beautiful, cutting across the clouds like a spark. Ellen's heart pounded. She didn't know what it was, but deep inside something told her it was different. Far above, the human ship Resolute dropped out of faster-than-light travel, its engines glowing like threads of lightning. For the first time in centuries, humanity had returned to the wider galaxy, and on a small, oppressed world, one woman whispered through her tears, someone came. The human starship UNS Resolute glided through the darkness like a blade of silver light. Its engines pulsed softly as it approached the edge of Orand Dominion space. Inside the command deck, Captain Aria Holt stood beside the large viewing window, watching the stars drift by. Every light out there might have been a home once, a colony, a station, or a civilization they had lost contact with centuries ago. Humanity had been gone from the galaxy for too long. The crew around her worked quietly but with growing excitement. For many of them, this was their first mission beyond human territory. For others, it was something more, a chance to see if the old legends were true, that humanity once inspired hope among the stars. Lieutenant Rajan, Aria's second-in-command, broke the silence. "Captain, we're 2 hours away from Virella orbit. Sensors show multiple Dominion patrol routes nearby." Aria nodded. "Keep us off their scanners. Use passive systems only. I don't want to start a fight." "Yes, ma'am," Rajan said, typing commands into his console. The crew knew what that meant. Stealth mode. The ship dimmed, its lights softening, its engine signature fading to near invisibility. The Resolute slipped between the stars like a shadow, memories of a distant past in her private cabin. Arya sat for a moment, staring at an old photo on her desk, a picture of Earth's blue horizon seen from orbit. Humanity had fought hard to survive after centuries of conflict. Many worlds were lost, many people scattered. Her ancestors had been part of the reclamation fleet, which once tried to rebuild lost colonies. But the wars that followed forced humans to turn inward, protecting what little remained. The galaxy moved on and the name human became a whisper. Now someone out there, a stranger, had called for help, and Arya couldn't ignore it. She thought of the voice in the message, the quiet strength in those trembling words. If anyone can hear this, please help us. It wasn't a command. It wasn't a demand. It was a simple plea, and that made it more powerful than any war cry. She smiled faintly. Let's show them what it means to be human again, she whispered to herself. Arrival at Virella hours later, the Resolute emerged from hyperspace near a bright blue planet wrapped in silver clouds. The planet looked peaceful from orbit, beautiful even, but the scanners told a darker story. Captain, said the ship's science officer, Dr. Lena Quinn, I'm detecting heavy industrial zones in several orbital platforms. Dominion control is absolute. No sign of free communication networks. Arya studied the data. Any signs of conflict? None. The population seems controlled, Lena said softly. Through the window, the planet rotated slowly. Long shadows from orbiting Dominion stations stretched across the atmosphere like scars. Arya took a deep breath. Open a private channel to the surface. I want to locate the origin of that distress signal. Within minutes, the ship's computer identified a match, an old observatory on the planet's northern continent. That's it, Rajan said. Coordinates match exactly, but Dominion patrols are close. We'll have to move carefully. Arya turned to him. Prepare a shuttle. I'm going down. Rajan looked surprised. You, Captain? That's risky, she smiled. Someone down there called for help. They deserve to see a human face. The meeting. The shuttle descended through the clouds, its silver body shimmering like lightning between the layers of storm. On the surface, Ellen Varro stood again at the old observatory, watching the gray sky. She had not slept in days. She had begun to believe that her message had been lost forever, until she saw the flash of light streaking across the heavens 2 nights before. Now, as thunder rolled in the distance, she saw something else. A small craft landing silently near the observatory. Its shape was unlike any Dominion ship she had seen. Her heart pounded as the ramp opened and 3 figures stepped out. They wore white suits with blue symbols on their shoulders, the symbol of humanity, a circle around a star. Ellen froze. She had seen that symbol only in ancient archives. The woman leading them removed her helmet. Her hair was short and dark, her eyes calm but sharp. She smiled gently. Are you Ellen Varro? She asked. Ellen nodded slowly. Yes, I am. The woman stepped forward and extended her hand. I'm Captain Arya Holt, United Nations Starfleet. We received your message. For a long moment, Ellen could not speak. She had imagined this moment 1,000 times, but it still felt like a dream. You're real, Ellen whispered. Humans are real. Arya's smile widened. Very real, and very happy to meet you. Stories between worlds inside the observatory. Arya and Ellen spoke for hours. Arya listened as Ellen told her about the Dominion, about how they came with promises of peace, then slowly took away every freedom. They tell us that Earth was a myth, Ellen said sadly. That your people destroyed themselves. They say hope is foolish. Arya looked out the window, watching the Dominion ships passing far above. That's what they want you to believe. Empires fear hope more than anything else. Ellen's eyes shone faintly. And you came anyway, Arya nodded. Because hope isn't foolish. It's what keeps us moving. As they spoke, one of the crew, Lieutenant Rajan, adjusted his wrist communicator. Captain, we're picking up movement. Dominion scouts are approaching this sector. Arya stood up immediately. Time to go. She looked at Ellen. You can come with us. You'll be safe on the Resolute. Ellen hesitated. If I disappear, the Dominion will punish my people. Arya's expression softened. Then stay. But know this, we're not leaving. We'll find a way to help. Ellen nodded slowly, a spark of trust in her eyes. Then I'll keep the observatory ready. If you need to contact me, use the beacon channel. Arya smiled. We will. Moments later, the human shuttle lifted off, disappearing into the clouds like a silent spark. Ellen watched it vanish, whispering to herself, "They came. They really came." The Dominion notices high above. On one of the Dominion command ships orbiting Virella, Governor Malvin, a tall alien with gray skin and sharp eyes, received a report. "Governor," said his officer, "an unknown vessel has entered our space. It's using stealth systems beyond our scanners. We tracked it briefly near the northern continent." Malvin frowned. "A rebel ship?" "No, sir. Its energy signature doesn't match any known technology. It's different." Malvin's eyes narrowed. "Then find it. If someone dares to enter Dominion space without permission, they will serve as an example." He turned to look out the window at the planet below. "And prepare my fleet. I want every sensor watching that sky." Back on the Resolute in orbit, the Resolute floated behind the shadow of Virella's moon, hidden from scanners. The crew gathered around the main table, displaying holographic images of the Dominion structure. Dr. Quinn pointed to a large network of control satellites. "If we can disrupt this network, we can open communication for the Virellans. Right now, every message is filtered and censored." Rajan frowned. "Disruption will alert the Dominion." Arya smiled slightly. "We don't need to destroy anything. Just confuse them. Humans are good at confusion." The crew laughed softly, tension easing for a moment. Arya looked at them, her team, her family among the stars. "We've come too far to stop now. We're going to help them, not with weapons, but with intelligence, with light, with hope." The message spreads. 2 days later, Virellan radio channels began to flicker with strange short bursts of static. Hidden inside that static were coded human signals. Messages began appearing in secret networks. "You are not alone," the Virellans whispered among themselves. Who could be sending these? The Dominion could not track them. Ellen received one of the messages through her beacon device. It was short, only 5 words. "We're here. Hold your hope." She smiled through her tears. For the first time in decades, her world felt alive again. The return of the forgotten above the planet. The Resolute moved silently through the night side of Virella. Lightning flashed below, illuminating the clouds. Captain Holt stood at the observation deck, watching the storms. "Beautiful, isn't it?" she said softly. Rajan nodded beside her. "Yes, Captain. Like the planet itself, quiet but full of energy, waiting to break free." Arya looked thoughtful. "They thought no one would come. They thought we were gone. But we're still here. Humanity never truly disappears. We just wait for the right moment to return." She turned to her crew. "Let's give them that moment." As the ship drifted into position, the first stage of their mission began, and not a battle, but a movement of hope, quiet and unstoppable. And far below, on the surface of Virella, the first whispers began spreading through the cities and the mines. The humans have come back. Darkness hung over the planet Virella like a heavy blanket. The Oran Dominion ships floated high in orbit, their lights cold and steady. The people below had grown used to those lights, symbols of control that never faded from their skies. But now something else had entered those skies, something fast, quiet, and full of purpose. It was the human vessel, UNS Resolute, moving like a ghost among the stars. The plan inside the command deck, Captain Arya Holt studied the map of Dominion patrol routes. Red dots showed where their scanners reached. Between those red zones were thin blue lines, narrow paths of shadow where the Resolute could move unseen. Arya turned to her crew. "We have one goal tonight," she said firmly. "We need to break the Dominion's communication net. If we can block their control signals for even an hour, the Virellans can send free messages to one another. That small spark will start everything." Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Rajan, nodded. "We'll have to get close to their main relay satellite. It's guarded by 3 cruisers." Arya smiled calmly. "Then we'll just move faster than they expect." The crew exchanged glances. Humans were known for that. Not sheer strength, but quick thinking. The Resolute didn't have the largest weapons, but it had one thing no Dominion ship ever used: ingenuity. On the surface far below, Ellen Varro listened to the coded whispers on her repaired beacon device. Every few hours, she received short signals, short words, faint pulses. The humans were working, though she didn't know exactly how. In the city, rumors had begun to spread. Workers whispered that something strange was happening in orbit. Machines failed for moments. Guards' communication helmets crackled. And one night, for a few seconds, the Dominion banners on the city towers went dark. The people looked up at the sky and saw flashes among the clouds, silent lightning, pale and fast. Children began to call them the Sky Sparks. Ellen smiled when she heard it. "Yes," she whispered. "Lightning has returned." The first strike back in orbit, the Resolute approached the Dominion relay network. The satellites were arranged in a perfect circle, each one linked by beams of blue light. Dominion technology was strong but predictable. Arya stood straight. "Launch the decoy probes," she ordered. From the belly of the Resolute, small metallic spheres shot out, glowing faintly. They scattered across the sky, sending out confusing signals. The Dominion scanners immediately reacted, chasing the false readings. "Now," Arya said. The Resolute dived through the gap like lightning between clouds. Its engines flared silver, cutting across the relay's outer ring. Lieutenant Rajan worked the controls fast. "We're in position!" "EMP charge ready?" Arya asked. "Ready, Captain." Arya's voice was calm. "Release it." A sphere of light dropped from the ship and exploded in silence. A wave of harmless electromagnetic energy spread across the nearest relay. Screens on the Dominion cruisers flickered. The network lights blinked and went out one after another like candles in the wind. Confusion. Among the the main Dominion control ship, alarms blared. Officers ran between stations. "Governor, Malvin," one of them shouted. "We've lost the Virella network. Communication between sectors is failing." Malvin slammed his hands on the table. "Find the cause." Another officer pointed to a screen. "An unknown energy pulse, and it's not Dominion tech. We believe it came from a foreign ship." Malvin's eyes narrowed. "The same intruder as before?" "Yes, sir. It's moving too fast to track." "Then track its shadow," Malvin said coldly. "No one moves in our skies without our permission. The people speak down on the planet." The blackout in Dominion communications lasted only 40 minutes. But it was enough. In that short time, thousands of Virellans began sending messages through private channels that had been silent for years. Families who had been separated between cities spoke again. Underground groups shared plans. Artists sent songs and poems over the network. One short message spread faster than any other. "The stars have heard us." Ellen watched the messages appear on her screen, her eyes bright with tears. The people had found their voice again. The Dominion could shut down systems, but it could not silence hope. Back on the ship, the Resolute returned to the far side of Virella's moon, hidden once more. The crew cheered softly, but Arya only smiled. "Well done," she said. "We gave them a voice tonight." Dr. Lena Quinn, the science officer, turned from her console. "The Dominion will react quickly. They'll realize it wasn't a system failure." "I know," Arya said. "That's why we need to move again. Next time we'll hit their orbital supply network." Rajan raised an eyebrow. "That will get their full attention, Captain." Arya nodded. "Good. Maybe they'll start asking the right question. Not who attacked them, but why, and when. They find the answer, they'll understand that freedom can't be contained." The crew exchanged proud smiles. They were not fighting with weapons, they were fighting with light, cleverness, and courage, the old human way. A visitor. 3 days later, the Resolute detected a small shuttle leaving the surface of Virella. Its path was unregistered. "Captain," Rajan said, "it's not Dominion design. Signal matches the beacon frequency Ellen Varro used." Arya's eyes softened. "She's coming to us." Minutes later, the shuttle was brought aboard. When the doors opened, Ellen stepped out, carrying a small case filled with data crystals. "Captain Holt," she said, bowing slightly. "I've brought something important. Records of Dominion operations. My position in the archives gave me access." Arya smiled. "You risked your life to bring this." Ellen shook her head. "You risked yours first." A plan of light later, in the command room, the humans and Ellen studied the data together. The crystals contained maps of Dominion fleets, command posts, and secret transmission codes. This can help us disrupt them further, Rajan said. Aelin looked at the glowing maps. If we target these smaller control stations, the Dominion will think a larger rebellion has begun. They'll pull back their forces to protect their main hubs. That will give my people time to organize. Arya nodded slowly. You've studied them well. You understand them better than anyone. Ellen smiled shyly. Oppression teaches us how our oppressors think. Arya placed a hand on her shoulder. Then let's use their own order against them. The storm. Begins hours later, the Resolute struck again, not with guns but with brilliance. They used Ellen's information to send pulses of false data through Dominion networks. Dominion ships began receiving fake commands, rerouting themselves and confusing their patrols. One by one, Dominion officers started questioning their systems. The empire that once looked unshakable began to feel uncertainty for the first time. From the surface, Virelans saw flashes in the night sky. Faint bursts of silver light as the human ship moved from one orbit to another. Children pointed upward and shouted, "The Lightning People!" The name spread quickly. Soon, across the city's walls and tunnels were painted with glowing symbols, a single bolt of lightning drawn in white light. It became a sign of hope. The Dominion Strikes Back Governor Malvin was furious. "They think they can mock us with light?" he shouted. "Prepare every ship in orbit. Find this intruder." A fleet of 20 Dominion warships began to sweep the skies, their searchlights cutting across the dark like spears, but the Resolute was already moving, using stealth, silence, and misdirection. Each time a Dominion ship thought it had found them, a new flash appeared somewhere else, as if the humans could be everywhere at once. On the Dominion command screens, hundreds of false signals appeared and disappeared. Officers couldn't tell what was real. "It's like chasing a storm," one muttered in fear. Malvin glared. "Then we will catch the storm." Lightning in the dark, inside the Resolute, the crew held their breath as Dominion ships surrounded them. The air was tense. "Captain," Rajan whispered. "We're caught between two patrols." Arya's voice was calm. "Then we move through." She gave the order. "Engage lightning drive." The ship's engines roared to life, glowing white. In an instant, the Resolute shot forward, leaving behind streaks of light that curved through the dark sky. Dominion sensors were blinded by the sudden surge of electromagnetic energy. From the surface, the Virelans saw a line of pure silver light tearing across the heavens. It vanished as quickly as it appeared. Ellen looked up from her window, her heart racing. "They're still fighting," she whispered. When the Dominion ships regained their vision, the Resolute was gone, leaving only calm stars behind. The message in the quiet that followed, Arya recorded a transmission. "To the people of Virela," she said softly, "this is Captain Arya Holt. The Dominion fears your voice. That means your voice matters. Keep speaking. Keep hoping. Humanity stands with you." The message was transmitted across the planet in coded form. Millions of Virelans heard it in different ways, through music, static or faint words on broken devices. But they all understood the meaning. They were not alone anymore. The dawn. After the storm, when the sun rose over Virela, the Dominion's fleets were still searching the sky. But down below, something far greater had begun. People gathered in secret squares, singing old songs again. Children painted lightning bolts on walls. Traders refused to work for Dominion buyers. It was not rebellion yet. It was awakening. And above them, hidden among the clouds, the Resolute watched silently. Captain Holt stood by the window. "They'll fight back soon," Rajan said quietly. Arya nodded. "Let them. The first spark has already been lit. Lightning doesn't stop once it starts." The planet Virela had begun to breathe again. After centuries of oppression under the Orand Dominion, its people were starting to feel something they had almost forgotten: hope. In the cities, whispers and glances replaced fear. Small gatherings began in hidden spaces, people sharing stories, plans, and songs they had kept secret for years. Every word, every note, every small act of courage reminded them that freedom was possible. And above them, in orbit, the human starship UNS Resolute watched silently. A growing movement inside the Resolute. Captain Arya Holt and her crew studied the signals flowing from the surface. Virelans had begun to communicate using small, hidden networks. They were fragile, easily broken by Dominion interference, but the spark had been lit. Dr. Lena Quinn pointed at a star map filled with blinking lights. These are all the underground networks we've identified. The Dominion has no idea how many there are. Arya nodded. We need to make sure they don't discover us yet. Our presence has to remain invisible. The spark grows stronger if it spreads quietly. Lieutenant Rajan added, Captain, the Dominion may send a fleet to investigate our activity soon. They will try to find the intruder who's causing these disruptions. Arya's face was calm, confident. Let them try. They may have ships and weapons, but humans have something more powerful. Intelligence, strategy, and courage. And the Virelans now have hope. The Dominion's elite on the Dominion command ship Sovereign Eclipse, General Thraxon paced back and forth. He had been assigned personally to eliminate the mysterious intruder disturbing their empire. Thraxon was a veteran of countless campaigns. He had fought rebellions and subdued planets without mercy. Yet something about the reports from Virella made him pause. Captain, he said to his aide, these humans, they are not ordinary. They do not attack, yet they disrupt everything. They strike without leaving a trace. I've seen nothing like it, the aide frowned. What do you propose, General? Thraxon's eyes narrowed. I will go myself. It's time to see who these humans are. Sometimes understanding is better than destruction. First contact. Meanwhile, on Virella's surface, Ellen Varro continued to help coordinate the underground networks. Messages of hope and guidance flowed through the city like veins of light. The Virelans were learning to trust themselves again. Children whispered in schools hidden beneath old ruins. Artists painted lightning symbols in the streets, the same symbols seen from orbit. Their meaning understood by all. Hope has returned. One evening, as she worked at the observatory, a quiet hum filled the air. Ellen looked up to see a small projection appear, the holographic image of Captain Arya Holt. Ellen, the image said softly, we've been tracking Dominion movement. General Thraxon is on his way. I need you to help prepare your people. They may ask questions you cannot answer, but they must not lose hope. Ellen nodded. We'll be ready. Tell me what to do. Arya's holographic image smiled gently. Teach them to trust themselves. Teach them to speak freely, to share ideas. The rest will follow naturally. Teaching courage in the following days, Virelans took small but significant steps. Farmers who had once avoided the skies began repairing communication towers in secret. Teachers reopened classrooms in hidden basements, sharing stories of courage from their ancestors. One of the children, Lyra, stood on a small hill with a group of friends and pointed to the night sky. Look, she shouted. The lightning people are still up there. They are watching us. Her friends cheered, inspired by her words. They began drawing small lightning bolts on walls and rocks, symbols that reminded them they were not alone. Ellen watched from the observatory, her eyes bright. Every small act matters, she whispered. It all begins with a spark. The Dominion reacts far above. General Thraxon's ship entered Virelan orbit. He observed the cities with a careful eye. Unlike the Dominion fleets, he did not seek destruction immediately. He sought understanding. He saw the lightning symbols, the hidden signals, and the subtle movements of a population, quietly regaining courage. Something stirred in him, a memory of what the Dominion had once promised to its colonies and how far it had strayed from those promises. The Virelans were not fighting yet. They were simply learning to trust themselves again, and that was enough to unsettle him. Humans as guides on the Resolute, Captain Holt and her crew continued to monitor the situation. They were careful not to reveal their exact positions. Instead, they sent coded signals through old satellites and beacons to guide the Virelans. Dr. Quinn explained, We're not controlling them. We're giving them tools, not orders. They will make the decisions themselves. Arya nodded. Exactly. Humans never take freedom for others. We can't decide for them. They must choose it themselves, and we will be here to support them. Rajan smiled. So we are like invisible teachers? Exactly, Arya said. And sometimes the smallest guidance can lead to the greatest change. First signs of rebellion. Small victories began to appear. Workers refused to follow Dominion orders that made no sense. Messages between cities flowed more freely. Farmers shared seeds and tools quietly, building trust between communities. The Dominion attempted to block all unauthorized communication, but their systems were confused by the human interference. Every attempt to suppress the Virellans only strengthened their resolve. Ellen sent a message through the underground network. You are not alone. We have seen the stars, and they shine for you. It was a small message, yet it traveled quickly across the planet, giving courage to thousands. General Thraxon's dilemma. General Thraxon watched from his ship as the Virellans acted in ways that defied expectation. Instead of panic, they showed determination. Instead of hiding, they adapted and grew stronger in secrecy. He realized something important. These humans had not come to conquer, but to guide. Their presence inspired hope, not fear. For the first time, Thraxon considered an alternative to war. Could the Dominion coexist with this resurgence of courage? Could they learn from humans rather than destroy them? It was a thought he had never entertained in decades of service. Lightning spreads. The news of human presence and guidance began spreading beyond Virella. Nearby planets that had long suffered under Dominion control noticed changes in Virella's communication patterns. Small communities began to whisper, "The humans are back. They move like lightning." For these oppressed planets, it was a revelation. They too could believe that someone was watching, someone who cared. Back on Virella, children ran through streets, painting lightning symbols and singing old songs. Adults repaired hidden networks, shared knowledge, and began to prepare for the days ahead. Even the Dominion soldiers began to question their orders quietly. A spark had been lit in hearts long trained to obey without thought. A quiet celebration, one evening. As the twin moons of Virella rose high in the sky, Ellen gathered her small group of leaders inside the observatory. They lit candles and whispered quietly. "We survived," she said. "We have hope, and humans are watching us, guiding us in their own way. One day we will be free." One of the leaders, a young man named Terrace, looked up at the night sky. "I can see the lights of their ship. I don't know where it is, but I know it is there. And it is helping us," Ellen smiled. "That is enough for now. Hope is stronger than fear." The calm before the storm above. The Resolute hovered silently in orbit. Captain Holt watched the planet, proud of the sparks they had ignited. "They are learning to stand," she said softly. "And soon they will be ready for more." Dr. Quinn nodded. "The Dominion will react eventually. But when they do, they will see something they have never understood. The power of humans inspiring others without force." Rajan looked thoughtful. "It's strange. They didn't even see us, and yet they are changing." "Because hope is contagious," Arya said, "and once it spreads, no empire can contain it." The beginning of change. The first true acts of courage were already taking root. Hidden workshops produced new tools. Messages spread to isolated villages. Children taught each other songs of freedom, and the lightning symbols glowed softly in the night, a reminder of something larger, a universe where humans had returned. Captain Holt recorded a message to be sent across Virella when the time was right. "The spark has begun. Protect it, let it grow. Humanity stands with you always." Below, the Virellans looked at the sky and whispered, "The lightning people are here." And for the first time in decades, hope felt real. The first rays of Virella's sun cut through the clouds, painting the silver forests with gold light. After centuries of darkness, the planet seemed to breathe again. In the cities, people stirred cautiously, unsure at first, then gradually with growing confidence. The whispers of hope had grown into voices. Voices became conversations, conversations became small gatherings. Slowly, the oppressed people of Virella were reclaiming their world, one spark at a time. And watching silently from orbit, the human starship UNS Resolute prepared for the next stage of its mission. A planet awakens on the surface. Ellen Varro stood atop the observatory's tower, her eyes shining as she looked across the city. Workers were moving freely, communicating openly through hidden channels. Children painted lightning symbols across the walls, laughing as they ran. "This is only the beginning," she whispered. "We have hope again." She could feel it in every corner of the city. the subtle courage of those who dared to speak, the quiet determination of those who dared to teach, and the growing strength of those who had long hidden their talent, their knowledge, their spirit. Virella was changing. Slowly, surely, it was awakening. The Dominion's frustration high above, Governor Malvin and General Thraxon watched the planet with concern. The Dominion had expected fear, compliance, obedience, not this. Why are they not terrified? Malvin demanded. Our fleets are here. Our sensors track every corner. They should fall silent. Thraxon shook his head. You don't understand. This is not a rebellion yet. It is an inspiration, something they have not felt in centuries. And humans are behind it. Malvin's eyes narrowed. Humans, they have returned. Impossible. Thraxon's expression was serious. Not impossible, Governor, real, and the longer we hesitate, the stronger this ink spark becomes. The humans take the lead inside the Resolute. Captain Aria Holt and her team coordinated with Ellen and other Virellan leaders. This was no longer about stealth alone. Now it was about guiding the awakening. Dr. Lena Quinn pointed at a holographic map. We can help them coordinate larger areas. If we direct resources subtly, they can reclaim key infrastructure without alerting Dominion forces. Rajan smiled. They'll think it's luck. Or their own ingenuity. Either way, it works. Arya's eyes softened as she looked at the surface. We don't fight for them. We fight with them, as allies, as witnesses, as reminders that freedom is possible. The first major, Stepilen, coordinated the first open demonstration of courage. In the city's central square, a small group of Virellans removed the Dominion banners. They replaced them with symbols of lightning, a sign of unity and hope. Guards approached, startled, but the people did not run. They stood together, silent but unyielding. The Dominion expected panic. Instead, they faced calm defiance. From orbit, the Resolute sent subtle guidance. A pulse to temporarily disable communication jammers. For a few precious minutes, the demonstration could proceed without interference. Ellen raised her voice, speaking to the crowd. We are alive. We are free to think, to speak, to create. And we are not alone. The crowd erupted with cheers. A small act had turned into a wave of courage. The spark was spreading faster than anyone, Dominion or human, could have imagined. The Dominion strikes Governor Malvin could not tolerate this. He ordered the fleets to strike, to intimidate, to crush, to restore fear. But General Thraxon hesitated. Governor, he said, if we destroy them now, the spark will turn into fire. The people will rise beyond our control. Let us observe a little longer. Malvin slammed his claws on the console. I will not wait. Thraxon's eyes were calm but firm. Sometimes, Governor, restraint is stronger than force. Watch and learn. Humanity understands this. Humans and Virellans together back on Virella, the humans and Virellans worked side by side. Though the Dominion presence was still strong, Ellen's network and the guidance from the Resolute allowed them to act efficiently. Farmers began repairing water systems sabotaged by the Dominion. Teachers reopened hidden schools. Medical facilities distributed medicines quietly. Communities were self-organizing. Small acts that created large effects. Captain Holt's voice echoed through the encrypted network. Do not fear. Every small act is important. Every person counts. The Dominion can threaten, but they cannot control your spirit. For the first time, the Virellans felt powerful, not with weapons, but with unity, courage, and knowledge. The turning point one night. The Resolute positioned itself over the central Dominion fleet. Using carefully calculated maneuvers, it jammed communications for a brief moment, just long enough for Dominion patrols to misinterpret orders. From the surface, the Virellans moved. Hidden teams sabotaged small Dominion equipment without detection. Messages spread faster than ever before. Governor Malvin's fleet panicked. Orders conflicted. Some units moved in the wrong direction. The illusion of control shattered. Thraxon observed quietly, realizing the humans had created not chaos but organized hope. They are teaching them to think for themselves, he murmured. The spark becomes ablaze within days. The cities of Virella were alive with activity. People shared skills and resources openly. Communication networks that had been dormant for decades thrummed with energy. Even minor victories inspired greater acts. A group of children repaired a small local transmitter. Farmers used old supply routes to aid distant villages. Teachers and artists shared lessons of courage and history, instilling pride in young hearts. The Dominion could see it all, yet they could not respond effectively. The humans' presence had given the people more than guidance. It had given them belief in themselves. Ellen watched as lightning symbols appeared in every city and town, and she smiled. This is more than hope. This is life returning. The Dominion reconsiders. Governor Malvin called a council with Thraxon. This is not going as planned, he admitted. Our fleets are strong, but they hesitate. The Virulans are moving too fast. Thraxon nodded. Because the humans are not fighting for them. They are teaching them to fight for themselves. That is something no empire can fully suppress. Malvin's claws tightened. Then destroy the humans. Thraxon shook his head. You may destroy the ship, but the lessons are already inside the people. You cannot erase courage, Governor. Malvin growled, frustrated, but Thraxon's words lingered like a warning. A world inspired. On the surface, Virulans worked together openly. Streets were cleaned, towers repaired, and secret gardens planted. Schools taught history and art again. Markets buzzed with quiet energy, and above them the humans watched, silently proud. Captain Holt spoke to her crew. Our mission is nearly complete. The people have taken the spark. Soon they will carry it on their own, and the Dominion will have to learn what courage looks like. Rajan smiled. They call us lightning people now, Captain. Arya nodded. Lightning spreads fast, Rajan, and once it strikes, it changes everything. The human message to remind the Virulans that they were not alone. Arya sent a final message across the planet. People of Virella, humanity stands with you. The spark has begun. Nurture it, share it, and protect it. Your courage cannot be taken. The stars watch over you, and we are part of those stars. Every Virulan who received the message felt a surge of strength and pride. The humans had not come to conquer. They had come to remind them of their own power. The first free sunrise. When the sun rose over the cities the next day, Dominion forces could see something they had not seen in decades. Faces lifted in joy. Children running freely, and the first open gatherings without fear. Even the soldiers began to hesitate, unsure whether to obey orders that no longer felt justified. Ellen looked from the observatory's tower, her eyes shining. The time has come. We are no longer afraid. The humans came like lightning, and they have shown us how to shine on our own. A new era high above, the Resolute hovered in orbit. Captain Holt looked down at the planet and smiled. They thought no one would come, she said softly, but we did. And now Virella has a future again. Dr. Quinn joined her. It is beautiful. And dangerous, but worth it, Arya nodded. They don't need us anymore. The spark is theirs, and one day they may spread it to the stars themselves. Lieutenant Rajan looked out at the horizon. Then humanity has done more than help a planet. We've reminded them what it means to believe in themselves. Arya smiled. Exactly. That is what we always do. And for the first time in centuries, the people of Virella felt the true meaning of freedom. The lightning stays. The human ship remained unseen, silent, watching over the planet as the Dominion retreated to assess the new reality. The legend of the lightning people spread from city to city, from village to village, from heart to heart. It became more than a story. It became a symbol of courage, unity, and hope. Ellen whispered one final time to the sky. They came. And now we are free. And across the stars, humanity's presence remained a promise. When hope calls, we will arrive like lightning.